we're feeling, patriotic after what we saw last night. The All-Montreal game featuring Boucher and Cam Birch and obviously Lou Dort. And what Dort's done over the past calendar year to put his name on the map has been truly incredible. And there's a lot of Canadian content in the NBA right now and some really quality players.
No, it's great. It's great. And, I've said it many times, the best is yet to come. I mean, there's been so much discussion about the Carter effect. What happens now when you go beyond that and you look at the 2019 effect of the Raptors winning a championship? I'll never forget, literally a month, not even a month after the Raptors won a championship, I was at a golf tournament in Halifax, and Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon were there, and I had an opportunity to chat with them. And all they wanted to talk about was the Raptors. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm excited to meet Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon, and all they want to talk about is the Raptors. And I said to them, guys, if you were 5 years old, 6 years old, and the Raptors just won the title, and you had the choice between picking up a skates and a stick or picking up a basketball and playing, what would you do? And they both looked at me and they said, that's a good question. And, to me, I just look at what could come from that. And what, last night was all about is kind of part of that already. It's just, to me, it's just so exciting to watch. And there's so many good young Canadian players. And there's so many good young Canadian players we're not even talking about that are, 11, 12 years old, not only on the guy's side, but on the gal's side. And so to me, I just think it's really cool to watch. And last night, that first quarter in particular, to watch Dort and Boucher just go back and forth, to me, it's wonderful. It says a lot. And you look at the fact that Canada is number 2 in the world in representation in the NBA. And I think it could get better. I think it can get better from a standpoint of international competition. I firmly believe we should have a WNBA team in Canada. I firmly believe we should have a second NBA team back in Canada. I think that the opportunities for these kids are off the charts. And to me, I can't wait to see what next 10 years, next 20 years look like.
Yeah, well, that second NBA team, we know that David Stern, of course, the great commissioner of the NBA, who's now left us, always listed one of his great regrets is the NBA leaving Vancouver, Jack. But last night was a point that could be made that, hey, if you're going to bring one more team to Canada outside of Toronto, maybe it's a debate between it's out on the West Coast with Vancouver or maybe it's Montreal.
Dave, that's legit. And I'd love to see the, a second baseball team back. And there's been a lot of discussion about the Expos, the Tampa Bay Rays and all that. Every time we play in Montreal and have a Raptors preseason game, it sells out. Now, it also sells out in Vancouver.
Of course.
And, to me, I think those are the two natural fits. And I don't think it would be one of those, I think Seattle will get a team on expansion because it's a wealthy market and they'll pay a ton. And, that'll go for over $2 billion. I'm sure there'll be another market. Will it be Vegas or something like that? Maybe it could be a Montreal. Maybe it could be a Vancouver. But at the very least, there'll be a few other markets in the NBA at some point in time from a relocation perspective that have to be considered. And I think a Vancouver and a Montreal, to me, make complete sense. And I would love to see it. And again, I go back to what I said before. I think I'm shocked that we don't have a WNBA team in Canada. I mean, it just stuns me. I did 2 years, and I loved it. I worked 2 years for MSG Network in New York with the New York Liberty. When I first started with the Raptors, and I had a great time, and it's a tremendous league. And I'm shocked that a big market like Toronto or even Montreal or Vancouver doesn't have a WNBA team.
With Jack Armstrong, our TSN Raptors analyst. So the Raptors have won 3 in a row. they have not had the toughest competition, Oklahoma City and Orlando, their past two games, those are teams trying to tank, trying to bottom out. But it appears to me from afar, Jack, that there could be a disconnect here between the front office and the coaching staff, and I guess trickling down to the players, although Messiah and Bobby would be the first one to tell you. The players are going to play hard. They should play hard. They're trying to win. Players are going out there. They want to win. They don't care about the draft, the lottery. It doesn't matter to them. But they got fined over the weekend. Lowry just keeps resting. OG's coming in and out. Siakam's in and out. I get the impression watching Nick Nurse and listening to Nick Nurse, he's a little bit thrown off and feels a little bit uncomfortable with having to be the one that has to explain it. And I'm not sure he's got an explanation. Or if the explanation is, hey, we're trying to lose here, he knows he can't say that on the record. What's your read from afar in terms of potentially a disconnect between management and the coach in terms of what they want to see happen here the rest of the way?
Well, first of all, that's why coaches sign long-term contracts and at seven figures.
Right.
So
exactly.
With all due respect, and I love Nick, he'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah. He'll be just fine. Everything will work out just fine. So it's all good on that end. Yes, you got to deal with the media and you have to answer those questions. But I learned this a long time ago as a coach, and now in my second career as a broadcaster. You can only control what you can control. And as a coach, who is playing tonight, who's healthy, and you coach those guys, and you make no excuses, and you keep going. And then as a broadcaster, I look at it, people say, is Lowry playing? Is Siakam? This one, that one. I'm like, hey, man, not my problem. If those guys have 5 and we got 5, I'm ready to roll, man. That's all I got to do. That's my job. And I'm not getting caught up in all this stuff. But, no, I get it. I think it's frustrating because people are poking the bear, and they want answers, and they want to know what's going on. And as a coach, you're kind of like the front man, and you have to answer those things. And you have a great relationship with those people, and you want to be fair and honest with them. And at the same time, they know you're in a difficult position, and you can't necessarily say all that you want to say. And it's via Zoom. And Dave, you know this first and foremost. There's the in-person relationship on record, off record, versus Zoom, where everyone's all in the room together. It's a different deal altogether. So I'm sure he would love to provide those folks with the true analysis of what's going on in a way that's professional, that protects everybody. But it's difficult in the climate that we're in right now. So you just do the best you can. But, the reality is there's a lot of Raptor fans that are going, what are the Chicago Bulls doing? They're screwing all this up.
Right.
But, right now, if the season ends today, the Raptors are in the play-in game. And, guys, I think you'll agree with me. I tell you what, if you have the 4 guys that sat out last night in Siakam, Anunoby, Van Vliet, Lowry, those guys have championship pedigree. They have rings on their fingers. If you're in a play-in situation, the last team you want to play is the Toronto Raptors, because in my opinion, now that they have Kem Birch and Gillespie, and again, these guys, I'm not talking about Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell here, the furthest thing from it, but they have not played all year with a 5-man. If they had Serge Ibaka this year with this team, they would be a top 4 seed right now. I'm telling you, if Ibaka's on this team and they're healthy, they're a top 4 team. So they're good. Their problem has been, obviously, injuries, the COVID shutdowns, but a lot of it, too, has just been their 5 spot has been all over the map. And with all due respect to Aaron Baines, he's not the answer anymore in the modern-day NBA. With these 2 mobile, athletic bigs, they do enough for the other 4 guys to shine. I don't want to play them. And I tell you what, if they keep advancing, I think it'd be difficult for them to beat a Philadelphia or a Milwaukee or a Brooklyn. But I tell you what, they'll go down fighting. And, they've already beaten Milwaukee twice on the road. They've beaten Brooklyn on the road. They've beaten Philadelphia. Those teams don't want to play Toronto. So, right now they're kind of you don't know who's playing every night. But, man, oh, man, if they ever ramp up, watch out.
So fun story out of New York last night, Jack. Your beloved hometown, where Zion Williamson showed up and reeled off his usual highlight reel of spectacular plays in a loss to the Knicks, and then was asked after the game about, hey, the obligatory question, hey Zion, how much do you love playing in New York? To which the always infectious Zion, answered honestly and was very complimentary of how much he enjoyed playing in New York, which led to the obligatory headlines of, hey, Zion wants to play for the Knicks down the road. And even though he's, as Hayes put it earlier in the show, he's going to be a New Orleans Pelican this year and 5 more because they got him under team control. What do you make of that, and what do we make of New York in general when they do this to us?
Dave, you've been in it a long time, and you'd agree with me. I listen to a little bit of ESPN, and ESPN is the all-time worst because they're a rights holder, and they're concerned about their ratings. So they are definitely in the business of, no doubt, trying to steer guys to the markets that give them the most favorable ratings and help their network. It's a scam, and nobody calls them on it, and the league's in bed with them. And to me, it's a joke. And, how about like when Zion Williamson goes to Salt Lake City or Sacramento, right? Nobody's asking that question.
Yeah.
And ESPN isn't jumping on that, God forbid, right? I mean, come on, let's be serious. Nobody's all excited about Memphis. But, I mean, it is a joke, and we are not looking after all 30 of the partners in the league equally. And there is way, way, way too much emphasis on L.A. and New York and the need for that, and it's good for the league. The last time I checked, the Raptors won the championship 2 years ago, and the league did just fine. They made a you-know-what amount of money, and everybody did just fine. So, no, I don't like it. And I think it's passive-aggressive tampering, and there are a lot of people involved in it. And the Knicks don't have to do anything about it. And yet the Knicks have been a complete gong show for years, and they can't get out of their own way. Now, obviously, Tibbs is a friend, and I respect him, and he's done a good job there.
Sure.
And but the bottom line is, for years, their track record says, why would you ever want to go play there? I mean, actually, the Nets are a better run franchise than the Knicks. So, to me, I just think it's one of those things, and you put a kid in a bad position, and that storyline is going to follow him the entire time now.